This is Shine 309, presented by Fly Square Media. Today's guest is the owner of Brighter Smiles and Beauty. She's the creative operations coordinator at Stay Another Day. She's an ambassador for the McLean County Chamber of Commerce. She's also the membership chair of Bloomington Normal Young Professionals. It is my pleasure to introduce Jada Taylor.
Hey.
What's up, Taylor? How you doing?
What's up?
Taylor, what's up, Jada? See, I'm tearing up. Blah. Every time I'm butchering these intros, I'm about to go Joe Rogan status and just start talking, and we'll just jump right into a conversation. It doesn't have to be that formal, but I'm making it formal. So,
Okay.
How you doing today?
Good. Tired, but I'm here.
Well, I appreciate you coming out. So when I first met you, it was, I think, through the chamber. I'm sure it was, but I knew you for the Brighter Smiles and Whitening. Mm-hmm. And so tell me about that. How did you get into teeth whitening?
What's crazy is because I'm originally from St. Louis. And so we have an affordable teeth whitening business in St. Louis. And so I went on a girls trip to Miami before and I got my teeth whitened. Came back home. I told my guy, Q, and he was like, we don't have that in Bloomington. And I was like, really? And so I just started to do like a lot of research about it and seen that there wasn't anything like that. And so I just started to see if I needed any licensing or how that like would look. And sure enough, he found me a space and got the ball rolling.
So did you need a licensing, or what does it take to move into that space?
So you don't need a license to do teeth whitening in Illinois. So in 2009, they passed a law basically stating that teeth whitening is not considered dentistry because it's such a simple process. And so, I took it from there. I created my LLC and I filed all my business paperwork, and Brighter Smiles and Beauty is here.
How long have you been doing that for?
So 2 years.
Okay. And then so you say he found you a space. Is that the space you're currently in?
No. So I was first in like a studio space. So it was just a room, a little box. And I had 2 chairs. I had my office on the other side with a curtain in between. And then a year after when my lease was up, I found a bigger space, which is literally right next door to where it was, just in a different building. And now I have a reception area. I have 3 rooms. And so I have my space, which is it's the biggest space within that office. And then I have a girl that does nails. And then I have a girl that does eyelashes. So I sublease the other 2 rooms within my space.
And then and I've seen that. I knew some barbers or something, or like a beautician place, and then they would sublet the other spots. Mm-hmm. So then when you do that, is it under the Brighter Smiles? I don't mess up your name, Brighter Smiles and Beauty. Is it under your brand, or they have like their own individual digs, or how does that work?
So they have their own individual businesses, but they're located at Brighter Smiles and Beauty. And so, but I want them and told them to keep their originality when it comes to their own business. Nice. But they're just located within my space. That's all that is.
And then are they just renting the space?
Yep. So they're just renting the space.
Any kickbacks to you?
As far as what?
Like, I don't know. Do you get any profit out of the work that they do, or is it just they rent the space?
No, they rent the space, they pay their rent, and then that's that.
Do you have any other space available?
No. So I just have those 3 spaces. I have actively been looking for a bigger space, but nobody really likes nails and the nail smell that comes with it. But I don't want to go anywhere and not have my girl with me, so I look out for her too. So.
And you said, did you actually get your teeth whitened in Miami, or you got it done before you went down there?
I got it done before in St. Louis.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. And then so I knew you were from St. Louis and Q's from Danville, right?
Yes.
What brought you guys to Bloomington of all places?
So I always wanted to leave St. Louis just because I had 1 child at that time and I didn't want to raise my kid in St. Louis because it's just not it, And so he grew up here in Bloomington. We used to always come back and forth to Bloomington to visit his friends and certain family members. And so I always knew when I graduated college, I was leaving. I didn't know where. I didn't care where it looked like, what it looked like or where it was. I just knew I wanted to go. So when I met him, I was happy that he was not from St. Louis because that was my out. And so I was like, let's move to Bloomington. I don't want to be here forever, but I just wanted to get out of St. Louis.
So through meeting him and then just visiting people up here, you decided this is a community you thought you wanted to plant some roots in?
Yes. So it was a great family town. When it comes to business, it's great. It has a great business community. I like how I'm not having to look over my shoulder how I do in St. Louis. St. Louis is a lot more unsafe. Everything is more fast paced. I love Bloomington because it's slower here and it's not a lot going on.
So how long have you been in this area?
4 years. I moved here September 2020.
All right. And then, so how long's Brighter Smiles? Did you say 2 years?
Mm-hmm.
See, that's the same thing. Nick's right around 2 years. All right, I see you guys. So how long you been an ambassador then? Did you jump right into that, or is that a new endeavor?
I've been an ambassador for 2 years.
All right. So as soon as you joined, started Brighter Smiles, you're like, I need to
Yep.
tap in.
So that was I didn't know anybody here outside of Q, and obviously him and who I came here for, like who he knew here.
Right.
So it was important for me to create my own lane within Bloomington Normal, because I'm not a sit in the house type of person. I like to go out and mingle. And I'm like, I don't know anybody here. And everybody I did know, they're all homebodies. And I'm not a homebody. And so it was important for me to create my own lane. And so I did so when I created Brighter Smiles, because it gave me the Chambers of Commerce.
Oh, yeah,
and that's how I created my own lane. I went full force. I joined the chamber January 2023. And I went full force that whole year and just network. Like, I went to every single thing, kind of created an own name. Everybody's like, who is this girl?
No, that's great. I only joined in April of 23, so I was just a few months after you there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome. And then I got to hand it to you, moving to a new community and starting a business. I can only imagine the challenges, because I'm from this community. So there's so many people I grew up with who are either tapped in or like I already had a network established here. So to relocate and to form your own network from scratch, that just seems super challenging.
I love it. It did have its challenges at first, but I'm a firm believer of who's for me and what's for me is for me. And those people that I don't necessarily connect with, those are just people that's just not for me. So,
do you feel like through that network of people that Q knew here that had anything to do with your business, or you was driven and you forged your own path?
I 100% forged my own path. They had nothing to do with my business. They had nothing to do with the relationships I've made now and the people that I know.
And so you're also a member of, what is it? You're the chair for the young professionals?
Membership chair for Bloomington Normal Young Professionals.
Yeah. So what's that all about?
So it's actually another resource group within the Chambers of Commerce. And so it is separate, but it's just other young professionals within the age of 21 to 40 within the community that want to get together, make intentional connections, and grow professionally.
Gotcha.
So.
And then, so how long have you been keep tearing this up. How long have you been the chair? Did you jump right in and join did you join as a member and then you became the chair?
So I joined as a member of BNYP in January 2023. When I joined the chamber, I joined every single resource group.
Okay.
So when I say I went full force I went full force within Women Elevate Women, Solopreneur, Bloomington Normal Young Professional, and just all of the ribbon cuttings and anything that I can make it to, I went to.
So I also mentioned being an ambassador. Did you jump right in as an ambassador as well?
So no, they actually reached out and was like, hey, I think you'd be a great fit.
I think you were a great fit for that.
I already advocated strongly for the ambassador anyway, like for the Chambers of Commerce anyway, after my first year, just because of all of the opportunities and the relationships that I've created and I've formed when I joined. So it was only right that I was an ambassador.
That makes sense. No, that's the same thing. I always shout the chamber out, and that like I was operating and I was getting some business and I was doing my thing with Fly Square. But I was like, I need to grow my network. Mm-hmm. And then I know like there's Rotary clubs, and I'd always heard of the Chamber of Commerce, but I associated the word chamber. I thought it meant it was some sort of government program. Mm-hmm. And then I realized like there's private Chamber of Commerces like nearly every community. Mm-hmm. And it was a really good move for me in that like it forces you out of your comfort zone. And I knew it was going to make me operate at a higher level, and mm-hmm. it has. And I've met, it's like with anything, like you join a new school and at first you're the new kid and it's awkward, yep. But then you make a couple of connections and then you meet some people, and then like that newness wears off. And like I've really made some I hate to say connections, but I'm making friends. And like I look forward to some of the events and some of the things. Like at first it's awkward, but then like, oh, now you got some buddies. You can go catch up with somebody you ain't seen for a little bit, or it's rewarding, and I like it.
Yep. I love it. I love it. I love meeting new people. I have a very outgoing personality. I'm a little goofy. But I definitely I can go anywhere and meet anybody and have a conversation about anything. So
you should have a little goofy and you made yourself laugh. Oh, man. So you were also the creative operations coordinator for Stay Another Day.
Yes.
How did that come about?
So what's crazy is when I first joined the Chambers of Commerce, I joined BNYP, which is Bloomington Normal Young Professionals. But then I met Mackenzie, which is the owner of Stay Another Day. She came to one of our monthly membership meetings. She came as a guest, and I actually was one of the first people to actually have a conversation with her and kind of to make her comfortable and feel safe. And so we just kind of created a friendship and our own relationship outside of that, and touched base here and there, met up for coffee. She came to get her teeth whitened, and we would just catch up on life. And so how it all worked was I just had a baby, obviously, and we got together. She wanted her teeth whitened. We met up for brunch right before, and we just got to talking about just catching up, what girls do. Got to just talking and catching up, and she was talking about where her business is going, what it's missing, and what it needs. And then we just kind of touched base and she was like, hey, well, maybe it's a possibility for you to do this. And I was like, well, let's go home. Let's go sleep on it for a week or two and reconvene and see how we can make this work. And sure enough, she was like, let's do it. And the rest is history.
That's great. No, I think those are the best relationships in business, I feel like. Like when it's transactional, it goes one way. But like when you have an authentic connection with somebody and then you get the opportunity to do business with them, then it's good. It's like you're working with friends, and like that's a lot better than just doing it for the money or just doing it for the opportunity.
See, but my main thing before I took the position was we have to be on the same page at all times as far as communication, because I told her I don't want it to get to a point where something goes left because of the lack of communication and then we lose our friendship because of it. So I always wanted to keep that in mind first. Like, hey, I want to remain friends after this. I don't want it to get to a point where we're not on the same page and then we have to fall out because of it. So.
No, that's great. Yeah, communication's key, right? And then I seen you two together, and y'all seem like two friends sitting there. It's not like an employee relationship. It just seems like two girlfriends just hanging out. Yep. So you and Mackenzie got a real good vibe.
Yep.
So I bet it's good for the workplace.
So
what's on the horizon? I don't know how much you can speak about SAD's operations, but I mean, girl, you work there. So what's up with SAD? What are y'all doing this year? And one thing, this might not come out for a little bit, so think about the timestamp on it. But also, I mean, what are the future plans for SAD right now?
So first I'm going to touch base on what SAD is.
Yes.
SAD means Stay Another Day. And Stay Another Day is a mental health awareness clothing apparel brand. But they are much more than that. And I like to go into details because a lot of people don't understand what I mean when I say they're much more than just a mental health awareness clothing brand. Mackenzie donates back to schools. She goes to schools to speak to students and talks about the awareness and the importance of mental health. She donates a portion of her proceeds to the 988 Suicide and Prevention Hotline crisis. And she also just creates the conversations regarding mental health that people don't necessarily or normally want to talk about. And so that's what SAD is, and it's much more than just the clothing brand. But what's in the works for SAD? She always does like monthly drops. She always is creating new designs and new ways to bring that awareness to mental health. And so we actually just came up with a Valentine's Day apparel line. She just came out with a Better Together collection from the 14-year-old girl, which is actually a very, very fun and like collection, because a portion of those proceeds from that particular collection is going towards a scholarship fund for the 14-year-old that it was inspired by.
Nice. So is that young lady going to be the one who receives the scholarship?
She is going to be the one. So any proceeds from that particular Better Together collection will go towards a scholarship fund for her for when she graduates.
And then how did SAD come about? I already know, but like just to hear you speak on it.
So Mackenzie, I know a little deeper, but Mackenzie suffered a traumatic experience playing softball to where it caused a lot of mental health feelings and suicidal thoughts and all of those things.
So it's like when she her life was dedicated to softball, she was all about softball.
Yes.
And then she sustained an injury, and that's like, now where do I go from now?
Yes, but she suffered mental health thoughts, like suicidal thoughts in high school as well. But so
even when she was thriving with softball, she still had some mental health issues, and then that just like compounded it.
Yeah, well, it all kind of came together because she always felt sad. She always used to say sad growing up, like in high school when she was going through her tough time. But when she got in college and started playing like the softball and had that injury, she realized that Stay Another Day meant SAD, the abbreviations was SAD. And so it just kind of took off from there, and that's how she created SAD, and that's how Stay Another Day was formed. And so Stay Another Day was formed actually in 2022.
Wow, you guys are moving fast. I had Nick in here earlier. He's only been at it for 2 years. And like when you're driven, you can get a lot done in a short time, can't you?
Yep.
And I like it just because since she's been on my radar, even it's had me reflect on my own personal views, right? And I feel like my generation's, I'm not quite as old as some folks, right? But anyway, I feel like my generation is kind of like looks down, like you don't talk about your feelings, you know what I mean?
Yep.
You tuck it in, you get up and you just move on. But like that's why people suffer in silence because there's that stigma about talking about it.
Yep.
So that's why like I really do think what she's doing is great because it opens the door for that conversation. Yep. And then I like too, you said, was it 988 or 988?
Yep. So 988 is actually, I have on a sad shirt right now.
But yeah, say like y'all got it printed.
988 is actually printed in every one of the shirts.
Yeah, that's neat.
Oh,
That's
wait.
fun.
Is it not in my shirt? It should be in my shirt.
It's in the other sleeve, right?
Yep.
Yeah, look at that. That's so creative.
So 988 is actually imprinted in every t-shirt, every hoodie, every crew neck, anything, because it lets you know that that's the awareness, that's the hotline. A lot of people don't really realize what 988 is, but it is a really resourceful number to call when you're feeling down and in those thoughts. So.
No, that's incredible. You mentioned you're getting ready to go somewhere with her, right? Does she have like an out of state?
Yes.
Where y'all going? What are y'all doing?
We actually have a few speaking engagements this year that we're going to attend. One is actually in New Hampshire. And so they reached out and wants Mackenzie to come out and speak to the middle schoolers. And they also want to, they live in a small rural area. And so they obviously, mental health is not very important when it comes to those small rural areas, but suicidal thoughts are. So they want to start to create the conversations in that New Hampshire rural area to let them know that it's okay to not be okay, to talk about mental health awareness and, you know, kind of raise the bar and reduce that stigma.
Nice. Well, how did they find her? How does someone in rural New Hampshire find Stay Another Day in Central Illinois?
So what's crazy is SAD's takeoff was because of TikTok. So they do really, really good sales on TikTok, and they have actually reached every state within the United States, and even have actually reached Canada. So interesting.
They're
so
international now?
They are. They really are.
That's awesome. So. Good for her. Good for her. Man, so do you know Gary Vaynerchuk?
No.
Man, I always Gary V.
No.
You know Gary V?
No.
I talk about him all the time. I'm a Gary V fan. I plug Gary V. He was, I don't even want to try to tell his story. He's a marketing guy, but he's got so many businesses. He's an internet influencer personality guy. The reason I bring Gary V up is he gets in front of the camera and he spits his bit right. But then what he does is he likes to reflect on it. He'll pull up old videos and be like, see, I told you this 10 years ago. I was right. Before TikTok was TikTok and it was Musical.ly. Were you familiar with it before it rebranded?
I'm not a big TikTok fan
I'm not
right
a big
now.
TikTok person either.
I don't get on TikTok.
I want to say 5, 7, 10 years ago when it first in its infant stages, it wasn't TikTok yet. It was called Musical.ly. I might be butchering that, but it had a different name. And Gary Vee was like, it's the new hot app, right? Like it's attention economy, right? Facebook, Instagram, where's everybody's time at on their phones? And he's like, the new one that's coming, you need to be on TikTok. But then it was Musical.ly, right? He's like, he even said something corny. He's like, I was in an airport and I look over my shoulder and he's like, and I see 13-year-olds are glued to Musical.ly and it's going to be the next happening thing. Well, right now, the reason I bring this up for, other than just to plug my man Gary, he swears that, I guess it's already popping in China, that they will go live and it's like brick and mortars can't be open 24/7. And then like Amazon's closing everything down, right? Like the economy.
They do live sellers markets.
They do the live sellers markets.
Q talks about that all the time.
There you go. So I was when Mackenzie was in here earlier, that's something, a conversation I want to have with y'all. And I don't even know, not say I don't know how to get started. I actually don't know how you would initiate that. Just maybe just go live and then whoever's in the comments be like, jump in my inbox.
You know,
so
Q is very, very, he's very business savvy. Q literally told me to talk to her about that, but I'm like,
that's the move. I want to plug it too, and that's just to encourage her to try something new. Because Gary V's been they call him Nostradamus, right? He's always he can see around the corners in business. He predicts consumer behavior, and he says that's the next new happening thing. It's already going big in China, and like it's supposed to become a stateside. He's doing it with his own little brand, so he's in a bunch of different spaces. So then what he's also doing is he built these cartoon characters that are all like positive. He's got like I got 2 of the little things on my desk. One's Willful Wizard and Grateful Gorilla. And that's I'm like, there's two driving forces of what I'm behind, right? I got to be grateful. You got to have gratitude and the will for it. You got to have the ambition to go after it. And so he built this whole little, he's got trading cards and everything. And then he's got a clothing line. And he'll sit there in front of his camera and go live. And he does huge sales. And I'm going to butcher the numbers, but he'll say, right, like a random post. This is on sale, whatever. Here's the day's numbers. Versus when he goes live, he'll sit there for 5, 6, 8 hours and talk to the camera. It'll be 10, 20 times what he sells off of basic, normal kind of marketing, doing that live interaction. There's a big market for that.
I know.
And I think that'd be something fun for Mackenzie to do.
So, but the only hiccup that prevents Stay Another Day from taking things to that next level is a lot of people don't know that she's trademarked. Stay Another Day is trademarked. And if you go and search Stay Another Day on Google, you'll see all these different businesses illegally reselling Stay Another Day.
Is it her same logos or just the brand?
Everything.
See, she needs to get them cease and desists.
Everything. So I've actually took time to send out cease and desist emails. Like, hey, if you don't remove this, then within a certain time frame, then we're going to have to, do legal action and like take, further legal actions. But there's so many people, Walmart, Temu, especially,
Yeah, I believe that.
Amazon, Etsy.
Wow, even the big names, huh?
And not only every design that Stay Another Day has made is that's their design, their artwork that they have created. And so, yeah, there is a lot of things, going on behind the scenes trying to stop companies and businesses from reselling, but it's a lot. So many.
Wow, that's crazy. And she's only been in business for 2 years, and that's already happening.
Yep.
And then I saw something recently that an artist was doing something bogus, and it was locally. And anyway, that's another story for another time. There's another artist that I follow that said something about that very same thing. He's like, I'm just going to stay in my lane and do what I do, because if I spend all my time trying to go after people who are mimicking my work, they're like. He's like, I can't do what I'm doing. He's like, I don't have the bandwidth for that.
Yep.
So that's unfortunate. But especially if that's taking money out of your pocket, though, like that's.
Yeah. So it's like you want to obviously go after the people that are making the most money, but those small corporations, it's not even worth it, because after you pay lawyer fees, it's like.
Like some random on Etsy doing it, I get that. But like, if you said if it's a Walmart or something, that's bogus.
No,
that's
it's sellers with Walmart.
Oh, okay.
So it's not Walmart.com.
Okay.
But I even threw out why is Stay Another Day not in our local Walmart? Why is Stay Another Day not in Target? Why is Stay Another Day not in all these different places? And it's because people are illegally selling it.
I wonder if now that you got your foot in the door and you're working with Mackenzie, like that's another. I consider it like distribution, another way to get the message and get the brand out. That'd be interesting to see where she goes with it.
So,
well, there's apparently a market for it if other people are stealing the idea and trying to sell it. So, well, they say imitation is the highest form of flattery. Oh man, so I love hearing about SAD and just seeing what she's doing with it, and I look forward to seeing where it goes, and I might have to be a part of it.
She's doing amazing things. So.
Well, let's change gears. I want to hear more about Brighter Smiles.
Okay, so Brighter Smiles initially started as Brighter Smiles, and
you threw the "and beauty" on. So what's up with that?
No, which is crazy is I did 3 name changes.
Make up your mind, Jada.
So I did Brighter Smiles. Initially, but in Illinois, I could not file it because somebody else has it in Illinois. So I filed my LLC through Missouri because that's where I'm from. And Missouri is not as... Illinois has much more demands and requirements and just so many more things that...
All that bureaucracy, right?
Yes. So, yeah, I don't mess with Illinois when it comes to business. But so I filed it in Missouri. And Illinois actually didn't have the name available when I went to do business, to file my paperwork to do business in Illinois. And so I had to change it. And so I changed it to Brighter Smiles Teeth Whitening. But then I wanted to switch gears because I felt like I could only do one thing. It was just geared toward teeth whitening.
Oh, right.
But I want to expand to just beauty all in all, and not just have it just teeth whitening. And so I then changed it to Brighter Smiles and Beauty because I have the girl that does nails within my suite, and I also have the girl that does lashes. And eventually, I'm actually about to start doing tooth gems, but also I want to start doing eyebrows
Oh,
and eyelashes.
What's I mean to cut you off? What's a tooth gem?
You don't know what a tooth gem is?
Oh, the gems on the tooth.
Yes.
Okay, wow. Yeah, I was like, you got your teeth out here working out, or I know that you've trained people to do it, so I thought maybe that was it. You're like, it's like a pop-up teeth white training. Oh my God, tooth gems. No,
so I didn't want to make it just. I didn't want to. I wanted to overall surround beauty and not just teeth whitening.
Yeah,
so I changed it from Brighter Smiles teeth whitening.
You don't want to limit what you could do.
I didn't want to limit it, so that's that.
And then going back to that, I had heard we had spoke before about I knew you were training people to do it, or it was like your Brighter Smiles teeth whitening, and you wanted to give other people the opportunity to do it too. Are you still doing that?
So I actually do offer training classes. So I do a few different things. You can take the training class and do your own thing, or I do offer, if you take my training class, the opportunity for you to obviously pay for my website and do all that. So there's options on my website to add an employee. So like, let's say if I were to train you and like you want to start doing teeth whitening, but you don't want to go through the necessary hoops to start your own business and file the paperwork, business bank account, do all the extra stuff. I already have all that sorted out. And so I give you the opportunity to be an employee of Brighter Smiles and Beauty. And basically what that entails is that everything just goes through my website and then I cut you a check. So basically like a 1099 employee.
Has anyone done that yet?
So no, because it's been tricky because the first year I started Brighter Smiles, the first year of business is always hard. It's more so like trying to get your foot off the ground.
Especially in a new market.
All
right.
So, but going into the next year, I found out I was pregnant. So I kind of had to shift my focus and, worry about my pregnancy. And then now I have a newborn baby. So that hasn't been my focus. It is something that I want to gradually get back into, but I do offer it. So a little tricky right now, but got a 5-month-old.
Good for you guys. And how many kids do you got?
3. So I have a 10-year-old boy, 4-year-old girl, and then a 5-month-old boy.
Nice.
So.
Well, congratulations on the new edition.
Thank you.
Shout out you and Q.
Not having any more. It's a wrap.
That's what's funny. Like I'll talk to young couples and it's like, oh, how many kids do you want? They're like, oh, we want 6. And I'm just like, you're crazy. Why don't you start with 1 and see how that treats you?
No, I have 10 siblings solely from my mom. And my dad has 3 extra kids outside of that. So no, thank you. 3 is my limit.
Family. Where are you at in that family in that picture?
I am the 3rd oldest, but the youngest girl.
Okay.
So.
Then what's the youngest sibling that you have?
The youngest sibling from my dad's side is 6.
What about on your mom's side?
He is 12 or 13.
So did y'all grow up in the same house, give or take?
No, I moved out when I was 15, so
okay.
I didn't.
Life be life, and
really wasn't around anyway.
Are they all mostly in the St. Louis area, or I guess 10 people they could be anywhere doing anything?
Well, so my oldest sister, she lives in Kansas City. And she's always lived with my grandparents because my mom had her when she was like 16. And so she never lived with us. And so it was my sister Desiree, then it was me, it was my brother Desi, then my brother Davon. He never lived with us. He actually lived with his godmom. And so, but then it was my brother Dalen, and then it was Armani, which we all have the same dad. The first 7 has the same dad, and then the last 3 have their own dad. So then you got Brandon, Eli, and Covey. We all, live together with my mom. So
the real question is, how many cousins do your kids have?
Well,
you ain't got to answer that. You don't got to answer that.
I don't know.
I was joking. No, that's a big old family. Yeah, that's crazy. Every now and again, you run into somebody that's got a huge family like that, and you're just like, wow.
Yep. Wow. So, 7 of us are grown. So the last 6 of us are grown.
The big kids take care of the little kids?
Well, no, because my brother at home, he is 18. So I guess that is considered grown. So the last 3 he's still at home though, but the last 4 are at home. So.
Oh, big old family though. Goodness.
Yep.
It was just me and my big brother. Ooh, yeah. I couldn't imagine growing up with that many people.
See, it was too much for me. And I moved out when I was 15 because my mom, she was a provider, but she wasn't there mentally. She was there physically, but she wasn't there mentally. And I'm very firm on if they're not my kids, I'm not taking care of them. I wanted to go out and, be a kid and enjoy my life.
No, I got you.
And so we bumped heads on that. I'm like, these are not my kids. So I ended up moving out at 15.
No, yeah, that's what my kid's mom, Melissa, did that. Her mom had a baby later in life. So her and her sister got stuck taking care of the little brother a lot. And it's like, I'm trying to go be a kid. I don't want to have to take care of this little sibling, you know? And like, I know everyone's got their unique family dynamic and it don't just go one way, does it?
So my main thing with my kids, I make sure I want them to be kids as long as they can be kids for. And I don't want my kids to be their burden,
No, for sure. So. And that's what's funny. I don't want to say too much personal about things, but we reveal a lot through conversation, don't we? Man, I hope it ain't bogus at all. When my kid was like 5 or 6, I remember him being little and being in school, right? Mm-hmm. And I'd see other kids talked a little bit better than him. They would articulate better. They'd pronounce their words better, right? And then it wasn't like me disparaging him at all. Like I was concerned for him in that social dynamic. And I'm like, man, like I want him to talk good. And then when he was 5, I'd stick a camera on him and I interview him just because it's cute. Part of it was I saw something on social media. It was a video guy that every year he interviewed his daughter. And I think it was like he made her say, he'd just say, I love you. And she responded back. Yeah, so every year as she got older, and like I was like, well, that's really neat. So when he was a baby, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. When he was a little bitty infant, I had a picture of me and him both wearing Cowboys clothes. Mm-hmm. And then like a year later, I did it again. I was like, every year I'm going to get us in Cowboys clothes for the rest of the time. And then a few years in a row, I didn't do it. And then that idea fell off. Mm-hmm. So then when I saw that, I was like, well, I'm a video guy. Mm-hmm. I want to interview my kid every year for the same kind of idea to document his life. And I thought it'd be cute to do the I love you thing. Mm-hmm. And then I'm not as consistent with it as I'd like because you look up and time goes. Mm-hmm. But almost every year, one time it was like a little bit shorter than a year. And this last time went like 14 months. But I try to every year do a little interview with him. And I just did the interview this year. Just recently. It was supposed to be in December and it took till February, but I just interviewed him. And then so I look back at the very first one and when he was 5, misspeaking and all, it's just adorable to see him. And I don't care one little bit that my man doesn't talk super well. Like damn me for even thinking that back then, you know what I'm saying? And just it's precious and adorable to see my little 5-year-old boy talking and explain his stuff.
I seen you posted the other day.
Awesome. It was awesome.
It's just to see like them grow. It's like amazing. So
that's right.
It's bittersweet too.
No, it really is. So. That was whenever he was little and he got on the bus for when he was little and he got on the bus for pre-K. Mm-hmm. His mom did the typical mom thing and cried. And like to me back then it didn't hit. I was like, I don't know, that's what 5-year-olds do. They get on the bus and go to school. Like I wasn't in that emotional space yet. And then now that he's 10 and I look back on, I'm like, oh, like I do, like I love where he's at. It's fun talking to him, communicating with him. He plays video games and we can see movies together. And we have a different relationship than when he was 5. But I miss when he was that little now. It goes so quick. Yeah. So any parents out there, document that journey and appreciate it while you got it. And you get the chance to redo it all over. You got the 10-year-old. Now you're oh my gosh, now I got my baby. So you can appreciate the baby side all over again. So that's neat.
I've been falling off though. I didn't take the 4-month and the 5-month-old picture. I got pictures of him, but I just didn't do that. But
it's hard to stay consistent with stuff like that, right? It
really is. It really is. But it's important to me because I don't know what I look like as a baby.
You not have pictures, or why don't you know what you look like? I guess when you got 10 kids, 8.5 kids running around, it's hard to get pictures of number 9.
But my oldest 2 sisters have pictures of them as a baby. Oh. I've only seen maybe like I've never seen a full baby picture of me. There's one, but it's like I'm very like pale, so I can't really like see because of the lighting. Gotcha. So for me, when I had kids, I get the yearbooks, I get the school pictures. I make sure the first year I get one through, when they're first born, and then up to 1 year old, make sure I try to keep up and document that because it's something that I never had.
Well, that's what we get to do as parents. We learn from our parents' mistakes or whatever. You're like look at it too, like there's a lot of reflection. I reflect so much different as a parent now than ever before, right? Because it's like you judge your parents in one way until you have a kid and you're like, oh, like they did it this way, I'm gonna do it that way. Or you're like, no, now I understand why they did it that way. And like, having a kid will just make you look at the world in a completely retrospective, different kind of way. And it's interesting.
See, I'm a firm believer of giving your parents grace. So like out of 10 kids, I'm the only one that talk to both of my parents like frequently and to keep up with them but I'm the only one also with more than one kid. So I have 3 kids. My sister has 1. Nobody else has kids. Okay. And so
you could have counted the cousins then.
So I understand how hard it is to raise not just 1, but 3 kids, right? But my mom raised 10 kids pretty much by herself as a single parent. So I give my parents grace in that as a single parent. It is hard. And so I try not to hold them for anything that they went through, because they raised us with the best they can with the cards that they were dealt. Yep. And so I can't fault them for that. I can fault my grandparents, but I'm not going to fault them because they didn't have the same love. They weren't raised on love to give us love. No, totally. And so, but how I look at parenting is I learn from it. I know how I was raised. I knew what I wanted and what I missed out on. So I give it to my kids.
That's what I try to do too. That like, you could criticize all day or you could judge, and like there's things my dad did that I agree with and I loved about it, and sometimes like, damn, Pops, like you dropped the ball there, why didn't you do that? But I look at it, my dad's dad wasn't in the picture, so not even having your dad around, he stuck around, he provided for us. He might not have been the best role model or might not have done this and that, right? But he was going off what he knew. Pops wasn't even in the picture for him for so it's interesting. I like that you said you gave him grace. I try to do that too.
I give him grace.
And then just little things like I put my kid on the bus every day. And today I was making my man's lunch, and I thought about my mom used to make my lunch. You know what I'm saying? I was a picky eater. And so every day she would make my lunch for school. I know what a chore and a task that is now. But when you're 10, you're not thinking about that. You're just like, I want lunch, Mom. You take it for granted. And then it's those little things that you're like, oh, like they really did put in that work and that love and that effort. And it's like you don't recognize that or appreciate it until you're doing it yourself.
Yeah. So, but I also give them grace too, because it's hard to show up for kids and then still try to show up for yourself. And so that's just my outlook on life. So I try to maintain my relationship with them, maintain contact, and just learn from it for real. So
that's all we can do, right? No, that's great. Yeah, stay in touch with them. I've lost both of my parents, and I haven't said that publicly, and I've hinted at it, and things come out on this. So there's gonna be people that may listen to this like, Dylan's parents are gone, but and it's hard. And then like as people I know that have strained relationships with their parents, and like everyone's got to figure it out on their own, but like fix those relationships. You're gonna wish you woulda.
Like I said, like because my mom, she was there physically. We always had a roof over our head. We always had food on the table. We had clothes and shoes. Granted, it wasn't what we wanted, but we had them. So how could I fault you for that? Now she wasn't there mentally, so I do everything I can to be there mentally for my kids. You know, like apologize if I'm wrong, or never tell them like, hey, I don't believe you, or those, you know, certain little things. Take my kids on family vacations. We travel frequently because I didn't really travel growing up like a lot. I mean, my grandparents were pastors and, you know, preachers, first lady, and we traveled with them, you know, road trip every now and then, but no.
So your family was deeply rooted in the faith then?
Yeah.
As the grandparents were?
But the way that my mom was treated was not right. No. And so that's why I give her grace. So it's like I can't fault her for what or how she raised us, because look how she was raised, especially being the oldest. So.
And then back what you said about the traveling, like I used to be jealous of the kids. You come back on spring break and they got a tan. Yep. Oh, you went to Florida? Yep. What's that like? We never go nowhere. Like we went to Six Flags 1 year.
Yes.
Other than that, we stuck around, and we used to, with all that idle time, we get in trouble. Go ahead.
My first flight is when I was 22.
Girl, my very first flight, the first 5 times I flew, I didn't land. I went to airborne school.
Really?
I was in the Army. I was a paratrooper. I had never flown. And then when I went from Missouri to airborne school in Georgia, we rode a bus. So the first times I stepped foot into an aircraft, I jumped out of it with a parachute. So yeah, we never flew. We never did nothing like that.
Yeah.
I used to be so jealous of them kids. They come back all suntan. Like, I was in Florida. I'm like, what's that like?
I know. We used to get one pair of shoes beginning of the school year, and that was it.
Yeah, us too. I remember my junior year, like my brother was out of school then. So I was a freshman when he was a senior. So my sophomore and junior years, through the rest of high school, my brother was out on his own doing his own thing. And we reached some hard times, and it was either my sophomore or junior year. My parents couldn't afford a pair of shoes for school that year. My brother got me some shoes, and it was just like I look back on that, reflecting, I'm like, man, like moms and pops tore up so much. Yep. I couldn't even get a pair of shoes that year for school. My big brother looked out for me, made sure I had a pair of shoes, and like so.
See, yep, I definitely look. I can relate. Right. We grew up in the hood. We grew up with neighbor. I seen my mom get jumped. I got jumped before, like young. Seen my mom get jumped by women and men. Growing up in the hood, you know, like seeing people get shot, police shootout, you know, like all of that. Like we've experienced all of that. So that's why it was very important for me also to get out of St. Louis. I did not like how I grew up. I did not like the lack of resources that we had growing up. When me and Q, we talk often about how we grew up and how was our school systems. Our school systems are trash in St. Louis. Not all, but the ones where obviously we lived within our community. Like, we didn't have driver's ed, we didn't have cooking classes, and we didn't have things like that. So just hearing Q talk about certain things and what he had to do, learn how to swim. We didn't have that. we didn't even have a gym class. We had a gym class, but it was like an open period. We didn't even have a gym teacher. And so just like looking back on all that, I knew I didn't want that for my kids. Right. And so Bloomington has like great school districts. Like, I love how they communicate. I love how they send emails. They call if they're missing school. It's just way better. It's different. So.
Are y'all in Bloomington or Normal?
Bloomington. We go to Cedar Ridge.
Okay.
So Unified.
Yeah, I grew up in the Bloomington public schools, so. And even that, like, there's a difference even within this community, like from Bloomington compared to Normal, and it's like Bloomington's it's not as good of a school as the other ones, but they're all in comparison to inner city schools, they're way better.
They're all still good. Sure. But I also think that's a stigma, because I read a few comments online about Bloomington school districts compared to Unit 5. But the best part about it is they're now all working together to kind of give all the same kind of things.
I also think part of it is what you make of it.
It is.
Like, we were troublemakers. We lacked, I don't want to say role models, but like we had too much free time, and it was literally like come home before bedtime. And like we just had hours upon hours of unguided free time to do whatever we wanted. And we tried to get money by any means possible. And we made a lot of bad decisions. And part of it, I see that, like, generally speaking, we were taken care of, we were provided for, and we wanted more. So anyway, like, I don't know, I'm trying to be all polite and political about saying it, but like we did dumb stuff. We didn't have to. We made those decisions versus, like, I'm sure other circumstances people do it out of necessity. And we might have thought it was necessity, but it wasn't. It was just us being up to no good. And then it's like similar to just a bad comparison maybe, but like within the VA, I don't have really much bad to say about the VA. I'm a veteran. I was prior service military. And then I've had a good relationship with the VA. As long as you keep your foot in the door and you go see your doctor, your primary, once a year, they'll see you. They'll take care of you. If I have any problems, like, they will do care in the community. So I don't got to go. Like, I had something I wanted to get looked into. I saw my primary at the VA, and they said, well, if you want to go get that looked at OSF, you can. They give me a reference number. I can go to OSF and get CAT scans. The VA hoofs the bill. So then I get it, and like maybe it's what do you call it, your anecdotal evidence. Well, that's wonderful that I've had a good experience with it. I'm sure there are people that have had horror stories and bad things have happened, but I've had a pretty good experience with the VA. But I'm sure some people, it's out of their own neglect or their own, like, if you don't stay in that ecosystem and 10 years later you're like, what do you mean I can't get an appointment? Well, you got to stay in bed with them, and if you don't maintain that relationship, it's going to be harder. Now all of a sudden it's an emergency because you didn't pay your due diligence. But
what?
You know if somebody was here. So you said Cedar Ridge, and that's elementary school then?
Yep, he'll be going to 6th grade.
What junior high is he going to go to?
I think Evans.
I don't even know where that's at.
I don't know. By a cornfield.
Yeah, good for y'all though.
So no, I love the school districts here.
So I know that you and Q flipped a house. Now, is that something you guys just did one time as an opportunity, or is that like something you're interested in doing? You're trying to move into that space and like be house flippers or something? So
that's actually something that we want to do all in all. Now, we have one in St. Louis that we haven't did absolutely anything with. Are you sitting there paying that mortgage? No, we own it free and clear. Oh, you paying taxes and property whatever on it though? But we have. Is that Missouri or Illinois side? St. Louis, Missouri. Okay, Missouri side. All right. Yep. You're like, this ain't East St. Louis. No. There's a difference. Okay. East St. Louis, Illinois. We do not have any dealings with East St. Louis, Illinois. St. Louis, Missouri. Oh, y'all across the bridge. Yeah, they across the bridge. They don't even got sidewalks. We don't talk to them. They don't got sidewalks? It looked like a hick town for real. Okay. Like, they barely have houses. Is East St. Louis worse off than St. Louis then? As far as... Is it like infrastructure, socioeconomic status? They don't even have anything. That's the problem. They don't have anything. They come over to our side. They have a casino. That's what they got. That's Illinois for you. They got the casino and the strip clubs. That's it. Oh, man.
Okay. East St. Louis is where you party then. No. I party.
Yeah. But now, what's he talking about?
You gonna flip a house in St. Louis.
Okay, so we got one in St. Louis. We just finished one last year in Decatur, Illinois. That one took a while. The main thing about flipping houses that I personally don't like is trying to find a good, reliable contractor. Everybody just wants to just make money. They want to take on a job, then complain about the job, and it's like, you knew what you signed up for when you signed up for it. And so I think it's just more so we have learned who to deal with and who not to deal with when it comes to possibly being referred to a contractor by word of mouth and or social media. We don't want anybody that's referred off social media. Like, I literally, if you refer me to somebody on social media, I will literally go and check their profile. If I check your profile out and you're like on there cursing and just like not full of nothing, like, hard pass. So that's like the downfall of flipping a house, though. It's just finding somebody that's reliable.
If you do it locally, I might have a resource. I know a guy that he's been doing it for years and years. And then we just reached out to him because we got my parents' house to deal with. And we wanted his input on what he thought about it. And in that, like he said, he's like, even, and we, through conversation, we're like, how much of the work are you doing? And he said just a little bit of it. He's like, maybe 20%. He said he outsources everything. He's not doing it. He said, but I show up every day to the job site just to keep my thumb on them and make sure everything's going good. Which maybe that's part of it too. Like you can't be like, I'll see you next Tuesday. Good luck with the floor. It's like, you got to be there every day making sure they're doing their job right.
See, but our main problem is people want to get paid up front, but then want to do a crappy job afterwards. And it's like, Q is a lot more nicer than me. Not saying that I'm not nice, but Q he lets people walk over him to a certain extent. Let me say that. And like, yeah. So yeah, we're working on that.
I think that'll come with experience, maybe building relationships. You're like, cool, I got a solid floor guy now. I got the solid painters now. And it's just, and I get that too. Like, that's one of those industries that it's, a lot of people do that to varying degrees, and it's hard to find. It's anywhere in any industry. The more business owners I talk to, it's hard to find good help.
It is.
It really is.
It is. Like we have a house in Danville right now, Danville, Illinois. And
how many houses y'all got?
Just a few, but that one was passed down.
Okay.
To us. Well, obviously, you paid for it, but it was passed down from family members. But we had a contractor come out and kind of do some work on it. Q, being the nice guy that he is, he paid him up front, and the dude did a crappy tile job. But then turned around and told us, "Oh, you wouldn't get anybody to do this tile job for this amount. I gave you at a discounted rate." $3,000 to $4,000 is not a discounted rate when you did a crappy job. I'm sorry, like, especially like I was pregnant at the time while this is going on, so I'm always still hands on deck. This is what I love to do, but I'm pregnant at the time, and they just went through and kind of did a crappy grout job, like, and I had to go through on my knees, 9 months pregnant, and scrub, take out the grout in the caulk and just redo it all. So it's just finding like the good, reliable help. I think it's just like the hard part of it. So
you said something y'all want to do then? Like, are you looking at getting another property, or is it like anywhere in the near future?
Soon, but we want to. The main thing with Q is Q likes to hop from one thing to the next without finishing it. And my main thing is this one has to leave first.
We throwing Q under the bus right now.
He has a lot of good business ideas, but he gets so caught up into the next thing, but doesn't finish. I tell him he needs to finish something first.
As a creative person, I struggle with that.
Finish something first.
I'll get involved in a project, and it's like, oh, here comes the next one, shiny, and you get distracted.
If I start something, I need to finish it before I move on. That's why you two balance
each other. Then you need that balance.
So no, we got to finish this first, and then we can talk about something else.
So what were you saying about Brighter Smiles? Where are you going with it? What are your goals? What are you doing with Brighter Smiles moving forward?
So my goal with Brighter Smiles is to continue to offer affordable and accessible services to all. I don't want to go higher on my prices because that's not why I did this.
That was something, just to cut you off real quick, like I'm good at doing. Oh. Whenever I met you and then I heard what you did, I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then you told me, I was like, it's super reasonably priced. And I was very surprised that it's such a reasonably priced service that you offer.
See, I'm all for having affordable and accessible services to all, because you have that lower class, you have that upper class. Like, you need something for just like everybody. So like I want to be able to target every different class, not just one class, because it's where I came from. Like I don't want to offer too high of a price and then I'm not servicing the people that I started this for. You know, it's like that's my balance.
And I think from a business perspective, that's good then. Like, why restrict yourself to one demographic or one target market? If you literally have a service that anyone could benefit from, keep your price point low enough that anyone could benefit from it. Like Netflix doesn't only, it's not like the outrageous, only rich people can afford Netflix, and then they're $1 billion company because anyone can afford it.
Yep. So where I'm going with it though is I want to obviously expand my services and just continue to offer affordable and accessible beauty services. So that I don't want to cap myself or limit myself. So just teeth whitening, I want to do, like I said, eyelashes, I want to do eyebrows, and kind of just see where it all goes.
So is that you yourself are going to do eyelashes and eyebrows, or is that going to be like another department in the
So no,
in the
I
store?
want to do it, but I also want to continue to have people around me that have those beauty businesses and kind of just create a one-stop beauty shop.
And so right now you said you got nails, you got teeth, and what else is under your roof?
Eyelashes.
Eyelashes.
Yep.
Okay.
So
you gonna step on your eyelashes' toes?
Well, so she actually is very, very busy. So she has like 2 jobs, but she also just had a brand new baby. So when she does it, she's more so like just, you know, that's like on the side for her, kind of like not last priority, but like she has her full-time, you know, job and all that. So eyelashes is more so like it's something that I wanted to do anyway, but just offer it to my services, but also still have somebody in my salon having that service as well.
Yeah, it'd be cool too to be a one-stop shop. It's like you can get everything done under one roof. You don't even got to shop around.
Yep. So that's kind of like where I'm going with this.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And then what about Real Raw and Uncut?
Okay, so Real Raw and Uncut, that is my new business venture. It's a podcast that I'm doing. I post on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. And what it is just a podcast talking about real talk, raw emotions, and uncut truths. Because I've always been like a very blunt person, but I'm a firm believer of it's the way that you say things. And so I've always lived a very transparent life with anybody, which is why I relate and I get along with a lot of people effortlessly, you know. So that's just kind of where I'm going with this. It was once upon a time where I also I posted my whole life on social media, so everybody knew what was going on with me, like any hardships, any faults, ups, goods, downs, bad, you know, all of it.
No. I want you to come back around to this, but what's up with that? And maybe that's a generational thing, because like you're about 10 years younger than me, so I don't know. I'll post my family like vacations and like like the highlight reel, right? And like I'll show like, because I want to document the journey, but I don't vent my grievances or share any of my dirty laundry. It's like I'll let things slip through here, like mentioning the passing of my parents or something, right? But like some people I've known for 20 years don't even know my parents have died. Because I keep things that close. Like you don't need to know. And I grew up on some, you don't tell stuff, like gotta keep that stuff quiet. And I'm real particular about what I share on social versus someone in contrast to you say you share your whole life on social.
Once upon a time.
Oh, okay. So then what is that? Then like you stopped and now you're like you're ready to
So it's not so with the podcast, it's not that I'm telling my life story or telling like every day what's going on in my life. It's more so me creating my own narrative, me sharing what I want to share and what I feel other people can relate to. So it's not necessarily saying like, hey, I went through this. Well, it is necessarily like saying, hey, I went through this, but it's also relaying messages that, like I said, that people can relate to. So it's not like airing like just your dirty laundry.
No, I got you.
Because as you get older, it's like not everything needs to be shared. It's not everybody's business.
Well, I'm glad I didn't have social media 20 years ago. So I get that too. Like with age comes perspective.
Yeah. So it's more so just giving my perspective when it comes to certain things, because I have a good following and a lot of people do look up to me based upon where I came from and where I am and how I am now.
And maybe part of the motivation is, don't let me speak for you, but maybe kind of why I'm doing this. Part of it is to highlight people in the community who are doing things. Part of it is to build relationships. Part of it, though, is to have that legacy piece, and that if I could have a recorded conversation of me in my 20s and then again in my 30s, and then in my 40s, like just to see that growth and that progression, just to hear what I thought 20 years ago would be neat. Then not only for myself, if I could have my dad in the 80s or 90s on wax having a conversation with his buddies, I think that'd be neat to look back on. Just to have that legacy piece of it. And like, so yeah, if only 20 people watch this, if my nephew or my kid or somebody in 20 years from now, I'm like, what was Uncle Dill up to back in 2025? They can look back like, oh, look at him with his little video interview series.
But not even
thing.
that. All you need to do is reach that one person that it'll relate to.
No, right.
It's not about reaching thousands of people. As long as your message, the message that you want, can come across at least in impact one person, you won. So
that's a fantastic perspective to have.
But also I'm very goofy and like strong-willed, but I'm also very sensitive. So I wear my heart on my sleeves a lot, not to a certain extent because it's just really just depends, but that's what the podcast is about, the uncut truth, the raw emotions. And so just like talking about my birth story and just things talking about my parents, family, real life situations, friends, just talking about some of those hardships that people don't want to talk about. So it's just like the same thing with mental health, but it's more so going into depth, talking about full blown everything in life that people can relate to. So,
well, that's part of why I wanted you on here, because in solopreneurs particularly, sometimes you say things that have a lot of impact. And I'm like, damn, like Jada said that in a room full of people. And I was like, I wonder what we will talk about sitting down right here. And I kept it kind of vanilla in that like I didn't get real edgy with it, or like we went into a little bit of family and it was a little bit of a deep dive, but like I still am being very mindful that cameras are on us right now, right? I didn't want to, I was like, are we gonna get into something like juicy? I'm like, oh, Jada, don't say that. We can't post that, Jada. And I didn't know where this conversation would go, but that's why I wanted you on here, because like I do feel like you share your authentic self, even in a room full of strangers. And then I know you have a unique perspective, and you're not afraid to say some things sometimes. And I was like, wonder what Jada might say when I sit down and talk to her.
It's about, I have learned that it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So what I have learned is that as long as I can say what I need to say respectfully, in a respectful tone, I like to take my time because I don't want it to come across in a different way. And so as long as you do all that, how somebody take it or how somebody perceives it is on them. And so I do live a very authentic life. If I can't be myself, who can I be? Like, all I know how to do is be myself.
No, for sure. So. And that's what I try to be careful what I see. I just pause. I'm like, No, you just want to word things right. But sometimes I'm trying to be careful in what I say because I don't want it to come across the wrong way. But then I thought about that too, right? Like if you just speak your mind and you're being authentic, or you're operating with integrity, I'm trying to corn it up, like say it properly. But like really, like if you're not putting on a front, or you're not being a dick, you know what I'm saying? If you're not just being rude or being what's the word I'm looking for? Disparaging or cutting anyone down. Like if you're just exploring thought or just discussing something with somebody, and like that's how you felt at the time, or like you're going off with what you know at the time. But what I'm getting at is that if somebody wants to pick it apart and be rude or like attack you for some reason, they're gonna find a reason to anyway. That's why like I was worried, like, oh, during the introduction, if I misspeak, oh no, I'm gonna look stupid. I said something wrong. Or like, you know what helped me do this part of it? What's my man's name? RZA from Wu-Tang Clan. RZA's got to be a certain level of intelligent. He's a successful rap artist. He's a successful movie maker, whatever. Like he has a successful career. But if you hear RZA talk, he misspeaks. He says some words wrong. You're like, my man's kind of missing something. But like obviously he's not, because he's very successful in what he pursues. But then if you actually forget the semantics of it or how he speaks, he's a very intelligent guy, because you can hear the broad span and the concepts that he understands and what he brings. I just think Riz is interesting, and I've heard him talk like he kind of be tearing up when he talks a little bit, but he's obviously a very intelligent person. So I was like all your insecurities and all that, like it don't matter at the end of the day if like what you're saying has some sort of substance.
Yep. And not even that, like I told you before, who is for you is going to be for you. Those who get close to you, like we clicked from the moment we met each other. Like I just feel like certain people who are for you, it will be shown, it will be known that those are your people. And if they're not, then they're just not. So that's kind of how I operate within the chambers of commerce. Like I know everybody's not for me. I know I'm not for everybody. And so I don't even go in there and try to look for that. You know, I just go in there and just be myself. And those that are for me will gravitate towards me, and vice versa. So.
That's such good advice, and that's why I feel like I'm a little bit older than you. I hate to always bring up the age thing, but like I need to embrace that and lean into that. And like vibes matter. And whenever you like somebody, you can be yourself around them. That's who you want to spend your time with. I had a situation this last year where from jump, I had a feeling that it probably wasn't a good fit. That initial meeting, I was like, I didn't like some of the things that this person said, but I was so excited about an idea that we moved forward with it. And then after the way it played itself out, I wish I wouldn't have moved forward, when in my heart, I knew I probably shouldn't have. And that's just one of those learning things that even this far in the game, you still got those lessons to learn. Sometimes you need that reminder. So you're like, okay, next time I get in that situation, I know better. I know better. I knew better all along. What was I thinking?
No, I'm a firm believer of trusting your gut, period. Because I feel like when you doubt yourself, that's when you get into those awkward situations, or like, it's like, dang, I knew I shouldn't have did that. All right. So no, trust your gut. If you got a feeling that somebody, you shouldn't do something, or don't do it. And
I heard or read something that the reason it is that, like, whatever you're feeling at that moment, if something, you feel it subconsciously, it's because your mind's already picking all that up. It already knows. It's putting something together before you have an opportunity to contextualize it or think it through or even understand it. That's why you have that gut feeling, because subconsciously in your mind, it's like, no, don't do it. But then, like,
it's also the people pleasing part of it too. You want to please other people, and you don't want to let other people down. So that's a huge part of it too. But it's like, I'm letting myself down, and I value myself too much at this day and age, at 28 years old, to continue to let myself down. So that's when those boundaries come in. That's when that people pleasing stops. And so you have to look at it like, do I want to continue to make myself uncomfortable to make somebody else comfortable? Or do I want to say yes to make you happy, but then deep down I'm over here suffering? So it's like, no, you have to, I think it's all the perspective. Value yourself. I value myself wholeheartedly. I'm not letting nobody walk all over me. One thing I'm always very transparent about is, if I ever did something or said something to in any way, shape, or form to offend you or hurt you, let me know, because I'm gonna let you know. So keep that in mind.
I think that's a high note to end this on. No, I love it. I appreciate you coming out and having this little talk and putting this down and good looking out. And it's funny because I shook Amanda Jones's hand and she laughed and was like, we're going to shake hands. So Jada, I appreciate your time.
You are so funny.
No, this is great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anytime.
We'll call that that.
Okay.
That was awesome.
I'm
so goofy.
I hope it was.
No, that was fun.
Jumped out in this fresh gear. Next year is my best year. This year is my flex on. Like a shoe deal with a check on them. Might be like a Nike with a